people come. We're waiting for 21 more people? Oh, okay.
Hi, Abbie. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ioana. How are you?
Good. I'm going to put the ball right now. I'm going to start fresh.
Great.
Good morning, Abbie.
Yes, and you're going to turn, right? Yes, so good. Hey! Hi! How are you? So good to see you. So wait a minute, now that I see you, so she looks so different when I look at you on the monitor.
Yeah.
So different.
Then in person. Oh, for face reading.
Yeah, so now I see so much more metal. Right, okay. Yes, you have you in your face. So good. Yes, I can't stop. Okay. Christy. How's the studio going? How's it going?
It's going okay. You know, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Letting what needs to come, and yeah, it's definitely been interesting.
This has been such an interesting time for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. But we're doing all right.
Okay. Where is... I was looking for Sarah. I don't see her yet. So Sarah Blumenkrantz, you're not here yet, right? She is? What is she doing?
I'm here.
Where is she?
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Sarah Blumenkrantz. I hear from a little birdie told me that your class was so good yesterday.
Thank you.
Taught her first community class for us yesterday. And I heard that it was really wonderful. So good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so just waiting for the rest of the people to come. Let's see. 10 more people. Okay, good. People are starting to come on. So as soon as, where's Alex? Oh, okay. Anybody have any questions from yesterday? Or comments? Or something you want us to see?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you look at someone who has an illness as opposed to someone who has an injury?
Someone who has an injury or someone who has an illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So illnesses are deeper in, right? And illnesses, yeah. Anything you see on the outside, you really will see on the inside. Any kind of, first of all, any kind of, so weird to see you. Any kind of disease eventually shows up, and sometimes it shows up before it's diagnosed, because it's sort of like mold. It kind of creeps up insidiously, but you will see it very often on the outside, right? If paint is peeling on the outside, you got dry lungs on the inside. So things will show up. Sometimes it'll show up with coloring. So if you're super white, you've got a lung deficiency. If you're super red, you've got a fire deficiency. If you're discoloration on the skin, it's usually going to be a kidney deficiency. So everything will show. If you're a little green or yellow, you're going to see a liver or a stomach deficiency. So green is going to be liver, and yellow is going to be stomach. So there's so many many telltale signs that you're going to see on the outside that will show. Now, yesterday, I'm going to keep talking about that, Ellen, in a minute. Yesterday, pretty much, we worked with Jonah and Tatiana, and what we were really focusing on is kidneys. Because kidneys really are your essence. And kidneys is really what goes on in the most yin part of you, which is sort of like the most unknown part of you, right? Because there's kidney yin and there's kidney yang. And kidney yang is like your will to, like, you know, have responsibility and do the things you're supposed to do and, you know, move through your trajectory of your life. That's like your yang kidney element, which is like your willingness, your willpower, right? But then there's the yin kidney, and this is where people have not injuries, but this is where people have have much deeper essences of health. That is in the yin aspect of kidneys, and that is really deep in the depths. It's going to be the fertility issues that don't show up. It's going to be, you know, the structural issues are all bone, and that is like the yang. Anything with bone is going to be your structure, your bony parts. Those are all yang. But the yin parts, the more interior parts, that's where people get caught with not injuries, but diseases. Because those are, you know, it's like the difference between fear of the dark and deep, existential, inexorable fear. The thing that is unyielding, the thing that you might even not know you have, but there's just this little bit of haunt that's always with you. Some people just have this all the time and they're not even aware of it. They're so used to it. But it's a much deeper issue. It will always rear its ugly head later. Always. So it's like, and then it's going to be deeper, then it's going to be deep in, and then it's really an issue of the organ itself, where when it's bone and it's an injury, and your kidneys are a little depleted, that's an easy one. Because structure can be so manipulated, compromised, supported, propped up. So, you know, that's when our work is really so, right, Ellen, that's when our work is so informative. But you want to do our work so that it supports a structure that gives you more stability, so that whatever is in there doesn't rear up later. So the more you orient yourself, the more you measure yourself, the more you work on your technique, it is like prevention for all of the yin stuff that's really deep in there that, you know, is probably unconscious or just pre-conscious. You know, it's like, you know, like one of the things that I've always noticed about allergies is that when children have allergies and they get older, people who start with allergies and they get older usually don't get cancer because their immunity is so used to fighting off all sorts of invaders. But when older people get onset of allergies later, that is a different story. Their immune system has not been educated. And so it's a lot more, not dangerous, but it's a lot more, it affects you more. It keeps you sicker when you have allergies, whether and usually they're environmental as you get older. When you're children, it's deeper in the DNA. And so your immunity kicks up and says, okay, we'll take care of this. But not when you get older. Okay. So, yesterday we worked a lot on the lower body. Today we have Felicia, the wrist, and we have Alex. Alex, they can't see you. You have to. And they have Alex, her neck, right? And so, so we're going to be working. Yesterday it was really more about kidneys. Today it's more about lungs. Anything I'm saying? Anything I'm saying? You have a question about? Speak up.
I have a question. It's Bernadette. Hi,
Yeah.
Abbie. I have a question about, I have a student who has OCD and ADHD, and what you were doing yesterday with Tatiana rang with me, like I should be doing that kind of work with her.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to speak to that a little bit. The anxiety, the OCD, ADHD.
Right. So in Chinese medicine, they refer to that as a deficiency in the fire element. Or actually, it's not a deficiency, it's an excess. It's a deficiency in being able to use it well. And if you can't use the fire element well, it becomes an excess. So if there's too much fire, it's like, keep the fucking fire in the fireplace instead of letting it burn down your house, right? And so, you know, how you want to address it is how would you put out a fire that's raging? You give it boundaries, right? You want to keep it in the fireplace. You want to give it boundaries. And so what are boundaries? The earth element is a boundary, right? That's one way to address it. And there's so many ways to address all these things. But one way to address it is with the earth element of boundaries, right? Because, you know, the earth can be like a fire pit, right? And so make a fire pit. So everything you know about the earth element, right? So you're going to do a grounding practice, right? You're going to do self-nurturing techniques. You're going to give them ways to soothe themselves, right? Because they don't know how to be internally mothered well. And then how else can you address fire? Pour water on fire, right? So the water element, right? And what's a water practice? Kidneys. So again, it's going to be working in the depths. So no matter what, it's going to be a yin practice, right? And then if it's fire deficiency, you can give it more, it's fire deficiency, you want to boost the fire itself, and that is to articulate well. And I happen to really like that one, because once you can have them articulate well, you can have them start to breathe well. Then you can move through the other elements of metal and give them a pranayama practice. Give them, do you know what I mean? Because that will give them also a totally different kind of boundary, which is really what lung work is. It's really the ultimate in sort of like what to take in and what to leave out, what to, you know, real discernment, real maturity is the lung work, is the metal element. Right? It's really self-protection, because the skin is a third lung. You've got a third lung. You have a trinity. You have a surface. And because you have the skin as your third lung, it's a huge protector. So the lungs have a protector, which are the skin. So it gives you a huge boundary, a huge barrier of protection. You know, just like the heart has the pericardium. It's like bubble wrapping it. It's a membrane of protection. So, you know, there is a barrier or a protection of every organ. And you want to know what they are? You want to be able to use them. Does that make sense? Okay. These are great questions. Who else has a question? Nice, Doug.
Abbie, Linda, I have a question. So neck and wrist are lungs, and ankles lungs also?
Oh, that's Linda. Okay. Yes, you have 5 necks. Wrist, ankle, and neck. Because an ankle is a neck, right? It's the neck of the foot. And you'll usually see something in the ankle that will refer to the neck. But usually what you'll see in a more direct way is the wrist, is the neck, right? I mean, if you just press your palm into the floor, you're gonna feel especially if you shove your hand into the floor, you're gonna feel your neck. Just ask Felicia. It's true. Okay, so I want to just go over a couple of things. I just want to go over a couple of things. From yesterday, I just want to repeat two things that was sort of like the theme of how I explored what I was going to talk about. One is that all injuries are driving territory without using a map. That really is what all injuries are about. Driving territory without reading a map. You know, that's the big issue with injuries. Right? And that's where we all get caught, without having a map. And that's whether you're in a relationship, or in your body, or in your work, or trying to figure out your future. You can't drive territory without a map, right? Otherwise, who knows where you're going to end up. Also, you might end up going backwards into your past and repeating habits, or you might be unconscious and be on automatic. So that's one big thing about injuries. The second one is, if something is dysfunctional, there is something unexplored. If anything is dysfunctional, something is unexplored. And again, and it doesn't matter what arena it is, it will always show up in time. And everything gets revealed in time. But that's a good way to think about it. Right? Because there are habits and then there are habits. You know, the Chinese say that there are three kinds of habits. One kind of habit is in water, a habit with a line in water. Well, that's like, I drink too much coffee, or I have a habit, what's another habit, like a daily habit? I buy my nails, right? That's like, any of those things, that's a habit in water. You can use your imagination and use your self-discipline, and you can probably get rid of that habit, right? There's another one of a line in sand, and that one might take a lifetime, right? That one might take a lifetime. That one's like setting up to always be poor, because that could be from your parents, not from your genetics, but the way that you live your life, or the way that you see your future, or the way that you don't believe in yourself. You know, those really habits that are passed down, or they made you feel like shit, so you feel like shit. And then you meet people who make you feel like shit. You know, those, the unconscious patterns that we repeat. And then there's ones in rock, and that could take a generation. And those are things like diabetes. Like people who say, oh, that's genetics. It's like, as, a justification for not doing their work. But that's really where people get caught with these diseases that run in their families. And that's not how diseases go. They don't run anywhere. It's just the way we refer to them. They don't run. You have so many things that you are not stuck with your genetics. But anyway, that's the three that I love thinking about those. Okay. All right, so.
Why do that, like, doctor, I know this isn't medical, but why do doctors say stuff like diabetes is genetic? Like, where does that justification come from?
Well, I think one of the ways that medical, Western doctors see things like that, and is that they don't engage their patients, for the most part, in prevention. That our way of seeing, Westerners see disease and injuries as something that has to be fixed, eradicated, covered up. Like pain, take away pain by getting a shot, taking up medication. It's not self-agency. Do you know what I mean? So it's a whole different kind of paradigm to be able to get rid of something or fix something than it is to address something and inform yourself with it. And so I think that it's just a different way of relating to your medical life. But all health is chemical. All health is chemical. That's really what it is. And you have to be chemists. And so, the Chinese talk about the metal element, your breath, your lungs, as you being an alchemist. Because what your breath essence and your food essence is what makes qi. And so you are always being a chemist. You are always being that alchemist who's going to turn positive energy and food essence and breath essence into health. And that's why it's so important for all of us to have, Jill, that is just so good, to have, healthy food, good eating habits, a pranayama practice, a home practice, because that is going to mitigate a lot of health issues, right? So prevention is not the thing in our society between our Western medical system and our insurance system. That is just not what the big value is. Prevention just isn't taught, and it's not taught in schools, and parents don't teach it to their children. Even the way that even the children are taught to do things that are healthy for themselves turns into this big finger wag. Where something's wrong or something's right or this is the right way to, we're not taught to be creative. We're not taught to be imaginative. Right? So people don't have agency over their own health or over their own bodies. Okay. So, and I think a lot of that is changing. I think a lot of that is shifting. I think a lot of people want to have a larger paradigm. We have a med student here. Right? So he's sitting here with us, participating. So, things are changing. It used to be like, if you think of the 5 element theory, if you think of the water element, you think of history, think of the water element. The water element, if that's the beginning of everything, before birth, after death, if you think of a water element, it was like superstition and magical thinking and putting a curse on you. Or, right, so, you're bad, you're good, you've got a lucky face, you've got right, all of that magical thinking. That was that's how a lot of things fell out of favor, and because it was so superstitious and linear, right? So that was like the water element. Then the wood element came, and we have industrialized everything, right? And we have our insurance system and our medical system, and everything became linear. Do this, take this pill, get that, right? Fix this. Go here, right? Your doctor's God, right? So everything became so linear, and that's the wood element. It got organized. There was a real clear trajectory. You know nothing, your doctor knows everything, right? And then we're moving into what I think we're in now, which is the fire element, right? And of course, because that comes after wood, we're in the fire element where, it's like, wow, right? Everything's on fire now. Like, oh my God, our insurance system is going to be transformed. This is going to be transformed, and this is going to be transformed. And, everything's like up for grabs, right? And people are so mad, right? People are raging. It's a raging fire. So we're in the fire element now. And eventually, we're going to move into the earth element. And the earth element is going to be a lot of self-care. It's going to be a lot of integrating of your insurance, your hospital, your doctor, yourself, your prevention. It's going to become so much more earthy after this big shit show. Right? And that's how things happen. And then they're going to get to the metal element. The metal element is going to be a different kind of organization, because the metal element is the future. The metal element is maturity. I love the 5 element theory. Okay. Miss Felicia. Okay. Here's Felicia, who many of us know and love. Okay. The first thing that I want to talk about is how Felicia complains of a wrist that is hurting. So first, let's ask her a few questions. Would you move closer, please? Okay. So tell us about your wrist. What it is.
It's my right wrist.
Okay.
I noticed the pain. It wasn't painful until a few weeks ago.
We can't hear you that well, Felicia.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Yes.
that's why.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my fault. Okay.
So, I noticed the pain in my wrist a few weeks ago during a piano lesson that I was having. And I had to do something with my fingers to stretch my fingers out. And then all of a sudden I was like, what is that? And it has persisted ever since. So, and it's right here. I don't know if you guys can see. Right there is where I feel the pain the most. And yeah, it hurts a lot. I can't open a jar, turn on a faucet without feeling it.
Good.
You know,
Good, because her pain is a great alarm system that something is wrong. So it's not that we want to take away her pain, it's that we want to see what's wrong and her pain will go away, right? Because if I look here, here it is. Okay. Oh, can we see this really close? They can all see so easy. So easy. Okay, I want to zero in on this because this is so obvious.
I tried
You
to
see?
see something I saw not.
I know, because you're just looking at
I'm just
you.
looking at me.
Okay, can they see this? Okay, no, they're not seeing it yet. I want to see right there. So see where it is. So there we go. I want to see, you don't see this. I want to see that, right? So if you look at this right here, how defined it is, and then all of a sudden she's got no line. Where's the line? It stops halfway through. Look at that. No joint. What?
Wow.
You've got so much more.
Can we look at the other hand too?
Sure. Okay, now if I do this, can you see this? Now I'm starting to get a joint. Now, here's where she sits. You see that bump right there? You see that bump?
Yeah.
It's sticking up. I don't know if you can tell that it's sticking up, but it's sticking up. So I know this is where she belongs. Look what we have to do to her arm. Look what we have to do to her arm. In order for her to really have her whole wrist, she has to rotate that armpit all the way. She does not know this rotation. All the way up here. And that's why when you look at a wrist, you're going to see a collarbone, a rotator cuff, a shoulder. Yep. And guess what it's really about? A lung. It's going to be her neck. It's going to be her lung. It's going to be her rotator cuff. But where she's going to feel it now, when Alex rotates her armpit and I get her wrist, now for the first time, I get a straight arm. That's it. Okay, that's different, right?
Yeah.
Feel okay?
Yeah.
So after we get her all the way, at first it was painful, but now that we get it all the way, it is so much further than you think, right? And then it feels so nice, right? Now it's not even that it feels nice. After a while, it'll feel like nothing because it's in the right place. And when you're in the right place, you are right in the center of yourself and there's no pain in space. There's only pain on the periphery, right? All the storm, it is only turbulent on the outside. The eye of the storm is peaceful.
You said it in class the other day too. You were like, you were talking about a twist, but like when you can't get all the way around, something is unexplored. And so
Right.
there's something obviously unexplored in the way she's using her shoulder, her wrist, her arm, her
That's
lung.
right. Because now go on to your hands and knees. So now let's just move out. Because what we know that she does,
Move it back here. Or right here.
oh, let's move this so that she's not on her, that she can get on a mat, but stay near me so that so they can hear you.
You want me sideways?
Oh, sideways. Yeah, sideways, sure. So people damage their rotator cuff and their wrist when they know how to hunker down. Right? And she knows how to hunker down and do the work. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because then there's going to be too much pressure in the wrist.
Does that also mean that she needs to engage the thumb side of her hand more?
Yes.
Well, she's not the whole joint. She's not using the whole joint. And so, yeah.
You can see it on the front here too, and the line that was in the bottom of the wrist. It's like a deep gash here, and it gets slimmer towards the thumb side of the hand.
Yeah.
There's like a big crease where we saw the big crease, and then
The sound just got really echoey. I don't know what happened.
Oh. Johnny will fix that.
Okay.
So if I put a block here, it has to be 90 degrees. And that's why we're always saying 90. That's not 90. That's not 90. That's 90. She is shaking like a leaf. She's shaking and she's going to get so hot, right? Because if you can't get through a joint, there's going to be too much heat. But once the joint opens, she'll have more space. And then her lungs. Now, here's where we get to see the shoulder.
Can we take off my shirt?
Sure. Sure, take off your shirt. That's why we always say 90 degrees on the wrist. We're not kidding. Because it's all not about the wrist. It's really about your lung. Yeah, that's it. Oh my God, now the minute I insist, she starts shaking again. If I let her be her, I can be a little dull. But I'm comfortable. I can just be myself. But the minute, oh my gosh, life is so much more exciting. That's right, because you're forward. That's what we always say, 90 in the wrist, right? Because what's it going to give her? It's going to give her more potential, right? She gets to stay a little bit dull. She gets to stay a little bit in her back with her shell running the show, right? With her wrist closed down. So she knows how to hunker down. She knows how to do the hard work. Right? So we know that you damage, I want to bring the people back. Remember, you damage your strength, not your weakness. Her strength is that she can hunker down, right? And also, she's got that earth element in her that's really strong. And, if you look at someone's posture, when they've got earth, they carry the weight of the world or family on their shoulders, right? So she knows how to do that work. She also is a real metal element person, which really is lungs. And anytime you're a metal element person, your lungs are your strength and your weakness, right? So I know she's a shallow breather. She doesn't move her current or her breath all the way down. Everything stays up here. She's super competent. She is a doer. If you want something done, ask Felicia. True. Right, but what's the outcome? She can't breathe, right? Okay, so.
Abbie, are her shoulders also sunken in, kind of, Felicia, when you were down? I couldn't tell if your shoulders were kind of sunken in or if they were,
Well, yeah. I mean, she's sitting in her back. She doesn't have access. She's got a big here, big one here. Right. So, yeah. So what we really want to do here, right. So why don't you just do, just because I have Alex here, Alex, do a dog pose facing Alex. And Alex is just going to open that up a little bit. Put your feet in her lungs. And one of you take your strap and put it in her hips. Right, because what we really want I'm just making Alex do this. I wasn't going to do this necessarily, but now you see this. Yes. So you see this angle here. We're going to see too many angles. If she's got an angle in her armpits, her lungs are shut down. And when your lungs shut down, it's like a window that can't open. And a window that can't open gets stiff, right? And so when the window's stiff, right, Lungs don't fight. Air doesn't fight. Lungs have to be put in the right place so air can come in. The air's not going to fight to move through. Energy doesn't fight. It's your job to channel it. And how do you channel it? You channel it, yeah, pull it towards you, and then, yeah, nice. That's it. Beautiful. You bend your knees. No, not you. Gilly. Right. Okay, now you can bend your knees. Ah, there we go. That's it. Does that feel nice?
Yeah, especially now it's speed.
Yeah. So Alex is pushing up, in and up, while she's holding her hands. So Alex, with her feet, really, doesn't it feel so nice? Yeah. Alex is holding her lungs open. She's holding open the window, so now all the air can get in, right? That's really what you're doing, right? So your bones are like the windowsill. Your lung, whoop, now can open up. Then air can get in. Otherwise, as it gets stiff and brittle, you can't move it in with just breathing. You have to manipulate your structure. Good? Now, Alex is going to give her width. She's going to put her lungs, Alex's knees in Felicia's armpits. Nice. Good? Bend your knees. The minute she bends her knees, she's got more availability for a back bend. Good? So now Alex is just holding there's latitude and there's longitude because it's a square. So now she's getting the width across her lungs instead of just opening them. Good? And now Felicia can just hang her neck and free it. Right? Free up that neck. Right? Just hang your neck. Right. And Alex has her thumbs right in the Felicia's thumbs so that we open up the wrist a bit.
I have a question regarding the neck hanging loose.
Yeah.
Usually you say do not look forward or something like that. So, but when I'm in a down dog and I try to look forward, it's always giving me really pain in the neck.
Whoops. Okay, well, let me tell you why. Right, the reason you're feeling pain is that you're doing the back bend, looking forward from your neck, and you don't. You do a back bend from your pubis. So that the neck and the head is just an extension of your plumb line, your spit, your tai chi. It is not the place you do a back bend from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't do a back bend. Yeah. Right. Yeah. She's shaking like a leaf inside there. So good, right?
Because now she took me off my shoulders too.
I know.
Like my shoulders are like in my ears.
Right, because this really just tells you it is not about a wrist issue. It's just the alarm that goes off. She's still I'm shaking. We're shaking. Okay, so yeah, it's like she's not been there before. It's also the muscle just like doesn't know where to go. It can't hold the way that it normally holds. Right? Okay, so sit in Virasana this way.
Facing it?
I think so. And Alex, take take a mat and sit behind her. So you have a mat too. So just so I can see you guys, I can. Okay, Alex is, I just want to be, okay, so let's first just look at Felicia straight on. And you really get to see that she doesn't have, she doesn't have like a good hanger. Right? Everything really comes forward. Right? And then we get to see she's got to lift her chin. So think that you're going to lift your chin, not from your throat. Think that you're going to lift your chin from the top of your head. And you have to think it. And you have to think it a million times because it will not come naturally to her. She has to really use her imagination to get off her neck. Does that make sense? Okay, so Alex is gonna go behind her. And this is why, this is why people can't do reverse namaste. They can't do it because they can't reach, but this is not a middle. This is a middle. Okay. Yeah, so take one, let's do one up and one under. Now, if you look at where she has to go, and you look at that, where that corner is, that's it. She's rotating that armpit. Nice. Are they touching?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I've been practicing.
So good.
Now lift from the top of your head.
Right. Right? Because whatever she's doing, because eventually we want this behind you. Because this opens up the wrist. And most people are like, and their wrists are all like, right? So eventually, that's it, Gilly, the armpit. All the way up where the armpit is, not her arm, her armpit. Right? You always want to go up where the joint is. You never manipulate anybody unless it's in the joint. You don't pull on anybody's arm. You don't yank anything. You only turn in the joint because that's what joints are designed to do. Good? Beautiful. Let's do the other side. Okay, the other side's going to be really fun. Not, right? Because, so for her, we know she's such a strong on the right that it's going to be a little stiffer. Because wherever you're strong, whatever you use, that's what's going to be stiffer, not more available. She makes much more compromise on the right because that's the one she overuses. And so this is going to be the issue. Right, Linda? Right, you can even tell where she is now. You okay? Mm-hmm. She touching? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Nice. But you really get to see the big compromise in the measure, right? So nice. This is really where she belongs, by the way. You are really in the middle of yourself. I know, and she feels so contorted. This is the middle. Yep. Beautiful. Okay, here comes the fun part.
Excuse my faces. They're coming.
Turn to the right.
And if you look at that right shoulder, where she really makes such a, you see that, Jess? Where she makes such a big compromise. Right. 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 Sweating like crazy. Right. Pain, sweat, shaking. Yeah, I don't think we're going to use that. I think that Alex is just going to hold her. You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's just swooning. If you look at what her head is doing, this is called swooning. Yeah. And that's where there's so much pain, right? So, right, that's it. Okay?
Yeah, I got like 5 more seconds and then I gotta let it go.
Okay. Right. Beautiful. Nice. You can let her go. Nice.
Abbie, what if there would be an acute inflammation in her right shoulder? Would you just err on the more careful side and put her hands and interlace it to the webbing and just be a bit more easy?
Yeah, but I'm not after easy. But yes. Yeah, if you want to do that without the big experience, just do this with somebody and then they'll feel like, oh yeah, I can do this, nothing. But once they can do this, and this is like nothing, then you want to find, right? Because real contact is real like, oh, let's move out some crap. Let's get out some, old mucus that's sitting there. Let's flush everything through, right? Because, yeah, you want to be able to do a pose, or do you want to be able to really change your chemistry? So, yeah, you got choices. Right, so yes, it would be much easier for her to just interlace her fingers to the webbing and get her hands up here, right? But it depends what the goal is.
Abbie, can I ask, I have a friend who has gone so far into her wrist injury that she's sort of just given up on it. She won't even do like her wrist at 90 degrees in tabletop. Would it? Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, Bethany. Is it useful to work with a wrist injury at the shoulder rather than like for someone who has sort of given up on the wrist or is so fearful of using it that they're basically just refuse to work at that joint?
Yeah, so do something, go someplace else. There's a billion other places to go. If it's too acute, there's too much at stake. Once there's too much at stake, you have to go somewhere else. So go to the shoulder, show her something else, or make her feel better and do what Alex did with Felicia first. Because the reason I asked Alex to do that first is so Felicia could really feel that her lungs, once they let go and there's all this air in it, it feels pleasure. So in a sneaky way, I got Felicia in by not torturing her first. Right? Make her feel good first. Right? Because, you don't want to point out someone's foible and you don't want to attack it from where it's off. And that's why you don't fix something from where it's wrong. You want to go somewhere else, Bethany, when it's acute. Right? And you don't insist people go somewhere unless you really know that they can go there. Right? And after you do this 4 times with somebody, you'll know there's only one way, for example, to rotate an armpit. There's only one way to make contact. Right? There's only one way to find a knee and a buttock bone. So you can't do this wrong if you know the right rotations. So Alex knows to rotate the armpits this way, not this way. Right? Alex knows that the knee fits the armpit. Right? So I knew that it was going to feel good for Felicia to open up her lungs first. Right? So yeah, shoulder is denser than a wrist. And that's the other thing. Go with something that's not going to have such acute pain, because the smaller the joint, the more nuanced you have to be, because it's going to be more acute. Right? Go for a denser joint, a bigger joint. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
So all of this is really to inform not just the wrist, but what the wrist has to tell us, what it indicates. It indicates a back that's too strong, lungs that aren't available, right? That her torso is really her strength, her capacity, right? But now, instead of being her strength, we want her to have more volume. Because when it's got more volume, she's going to have a bigger sphere. She shuts down her sphere and develops her strength. And you want to develop the strength with a bigger sphere and not by shutting it down. Because if she sits, so sit with your legs this way off the block, just with your legs straight. Because all we got to see was that the heel of the hand, see, when you're in the heel of the hand, and you're in the heel of the foot, it's like kneading dough, right? And when you're kneading dough, it's muscle. So I know she's got too much muscle, because anybody that doesn't have the knuckles of the hand but sits in the heel and doesn't have the knuckle can't move forward in the pubis. So she's sitting in there digging in. So we got somebody who's stubborn on her hands. Right? Because that's what it is, to dig the heel, right? So we know her nature is to be a bit stubborn. True, right. It has to be true. I can't make it up.
That's right.
If it's in the body, it's much denser than in the mind. So I know I can't be wrong. Okay, so now, Gilly, sit behind her. Why don't you might need a something so you don't slide. So sitting in the heel. Right now, what happens when you build up too much muscle? What happens is that you take out a lot of the moisture. So things start to get brittle and dry and stiff. And you don't want to take out moisture, right? You want to add moisture so she's got more fluency instead of more habit, because muscle cements in habit, because muscle is cement, right? And when cement dries, there's no more moisture. Right, now it's going to start shaking again. Right? Right. Okay, let me do one thing, okay? Now get those feet closer together. Yeah. Because that's going to give her her hips instead of her groin a little bit closer. Right? Because the safer the bones are, the less they're going to bang a nerve. And the better the bones are, the less they'll impinge on the organ. You like that one? Say it again. Say it to them.
My feet go this way, and my heel comes in this way instead of being at a right angle.
Right. Right, because we want her to know that she has a heel, an arch, and a ball of the foot instead of a piece of dough to knead. Right, so she's going to start getting more rise. Right, because we want her to have more of an arch. Doug, you watching this? Hey, buddy. Yes, really. Yes, right. Otherwise, they know how to work hard. They know how to hunker down. And what we want is more of a shaped foot. So she has more of a shaped back. Right? Instead of kneading dough, instead of muscle. Right? Because she really knows how to hunker down and work hard. But what happens? Flat, no lungs.
We have a new slogan in our house, Abbie. It's hunker up.
What's your slogan?
Hunker up.
Hunker up, right? Right. That's it. Now, as soon as Gilly puts her feet in her upper back, all of a sudden she feels something else, right? Because now we're in the arena of the lungs. And her shoulders want to rise, but we're not interested in her shoulders rising. We're interested in her vision rising. Vision rising. We are hunting for vision because her vision drops. Yes. Right. So she's got it right. Alex said she has to pump herself up with her breath, not pump herself up with her emotions. She gets all, She gets all keyed up with her emotions. And instead, we want the rise from imagination. Good, right?
Yeah, so put that place in my back where I hold on.
Yeah.
Where her top is.
Yes. Yes. Good. Right. Some people need more substance. Some people need more facility and fluency. Some people need to rise. Some people need to settle down. She's already settled down. For her, we want her to rise. So good, yes? It's going to have such a different feel, right? Some people need more air. Right? Get out those wrinkles. Yeah, that's the thing about wrinkles too and skin. Some people's pores in their skin are too big. They let in too many toxins. And some people's pores are too small, and their skin is going to be dry because they are too good of a barrier, right? And so that's where people's skin is, that's where sometimes it's not a good barrier, right? It has to be like just right. As your third lung, you want to appreciate that. Okay, got that?
Abbie,
Okay.
what can we do at home, like for the shoulders? Because I've noticed day by day my shoulders are going in more and more, like hunkering in.
Yeah. Okay. Let's sit her in Virasana and put like a billion blocks behind her. You know what I mean? 2 for her lungs. Like make it even higher, just because she's tall. Put 2 with 1 on top, and then the thing. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Right. Yeah. But I wanted to say something specific about Felicia. So just remember this, lungs are how you hold it together. And Felicia knows how to hold it together. The minute we give her a different experience, she can't hold on the way that she normally holds on. And that's what all the shaking is about, right? Because all of a sudden, it's a completely different way of moving energy through herself, right? Because she makes so much effort to hold it together that she can't really find her bounce. Okay, beautiful. Nice. So she has a lot of capacity, which gives her the courage to, the courage to really do. But part of the metal element is really finding that way, that's it, of changing your chemistry. Nice. Beautiful. Yes, good idea. Yeah, get those elbows down on those blocks. Oh, that's it. Good. So in her feet, if I looked at her feet, I'd see a little wince in her lungs, right? Because there's a little wrinkle where they don't completely open and then fill. You have to open up a window for the air to come in to be able to be fulfilled, which is what we want. Doug, you looking at this?
Yes.
That should be you.
Abbie, before when we had Felicia on all fours, and it was Linda, and she was having a hard time coming forward onto the balls of her hands.
Yeah.
The balls of hand are also lungs, so she's not used to engaging her lungs in that way.
Yeah.
Look at it that way also.
Yes, the lungs of the hand are the knuckles, and she wasn't in the knuckles at all. She was just in the heel. Yeah, and that's why Alex is stepping on her lungs right now. Lungs are thighs, and the front of your thighs is your back. So I know her thighs are hard as rocks, and Alex can just stand there. She's got those thunder thighs. They're so strong. So good. What?
That's what my dad used to call me, thunder thighs.
See, we don't know why we say these things. Right? So if she were a swimmer, she strokes too hard. She pulls her arm in the water and she pulls too hard. Her arm goes too deep in the water when she swims. Right? She's pulling too much. She's stroking too hard. Make sense?
Yes.
You can't swim?
No, I'm not a good swimmer.
Clearly. Because she doesn't have a good kick, right? Because she works so hard. She's just like pulling on the water, right? Because she swims the way she does everything else. You can float? Yeah, that's nice, right?
On a full float.
Right? Because she really knows how to hold it together by making effort, right? And that is a lung game. So again, she wants to know that on the foot, she's got three floors, that she can put her pedal to the metal, the ball of the foot, that's the lung, the center of yourself, that's the arch, and then the heel is to stay safe. But eventually, it's all to be present, not emotional. Right? Because if you have all three of those, you will stay present because you don't stay in any one of those. You keep moving because that's how the moment becomes the past. And then the past pushes you forward. And then when you're forward, you reflect back. You don't go back, you reflect back. So that the foot does the same thing. And that's what keeps you present. But if you've got a flat foot, there's very little movement. And so what happens when there's very little movement? You go back into the heel. Right? Okay. Right, because the goal is, how is she going to be able to hold ground and move into her future? Because that's going to be the question. The future is all about the metal element. The future is all about lungs.
Sniff it out.
Right. How's she going to sniff out her future? So good. Good. Bring her up. Good, right?
So Abbie, you're saying if you're working so hard, how can you think about the future? If all your energy is going to work so hard and hold ground and hunker down, then how do you have room to look ahead, to have a vision?
Her vision won't be available. Right. So good. So we want more right? We want much more amusement, right? Right. So more and it starts in the foot. So more, you should do that thing we do in the foot. We love our feet things. She can't wait to do this one. You can do this with us. Hey, Doug, you should be doing this with us. Right, especially those of you with flat feet.
But when I first started doing this, my heels were out here.
Right.
So now I get them a little closer.
So good, Felicia. Right, right. Yeah, because if your heels go out, you're just throwing the heel away, and then you're in the heel of your ass, so you're still in the heel. Ah, so nice. Now, if you can't tolerate this, you can always put a block between your butt and your heels. There we go. So now she's got a nice arch in her back, right? So we want the arch in the perineum, the arch in the foot, the arch in the lower back, the arch in the neck. And that's what's going to get her up to her antenna.
It's interesting, though, to see the cross-reference of this shoulder being piped up and the squish in this kidney.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because when her right shoulder is off, the lung is gonna fall into the kidney. Show them that, Alex. How when the right shoulder's off, it's gonna fall into the kidney, into the right kidney. And if you see how that's off, and you'll see where she's got more wrinkles there, where it's fallen into the kidney. And so what you really wanna do, the arch is gonna take her off herself. Get your arms up. Right? So much better. Right now she can open up the lungs and she comes off of the kidney.
Well, Abbie, if you're doing that pose and you feel it in your big toes to start, like I just tried to do it and I can really feel it in my big toes. It hurts there. What is that telling me?
It tells you you're not on the whole spread across your foot. You're only on your big toes, right? So you have to find the spread across it. Whoa, right, Felicia? She's having a huge, shaking it down. Oh my God. We're going for the kill here. Heather, stand up and get your elbows in his and pull them up. Look at the big arch.
Abbie, it's amazing how the color of each foot is so different.
Yes. Yes.
The right one is really red.
Yes. Yeah. It's also all wrinkly. The other one's kind of like, okay, so now let's come out of that and do the other one. So watch, after you do that one, you go on the top of your foot. She's about to hit me. So now she's got to go on the top of it. No, this is going to feel nice. So now, because you have to go the other way too, right? Because you need both. Oh, so nice. Oh, now she's on the top of her feet. Now she's in her back. The top of your foot is your back. The bottom of your foot is your front. Sweet pie. This.
I can't keep my block.
No, you can keep your block. Shove it in.
Okay.
So it's a little high. Love you too.
Oh, this is not great.
Oh, that's better, Alex. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Beautiful. Now we've got her kind of like, right, now she's like holding her. Remember, knees are kidneys. You want to support someone, there's lots of ways to do it. So she's got her foot in her lower back and she's got the strap around her knees. So she's really got her from both ends. So she's really holding her. Heather, see what Alex is doing? Get a strap and put it around his knees with your foot in his lower back. It's a really nice way to keep her in here without torturing her. Not that we're not torturing her. Does this feel kind of good? Okay, so now, since it feels better.
No, it doesn't.
We want her knees up. Yes, I want her on those feet.
While we're here with you, okay?
Mr. Doug, get those knees up.
I got you.
Oh,
Is that okay?
give her 2 blocks so she put her hands on 2 blocks. All right, Doug, get your knees up off the floor. Put a block under your knees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Felicia wants to know if Alex felt her tension.
Because I'm tense.
Okay, that was funny. Yeah, really.
No, really, I was wondering if you can feel when somebody is, like really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We can see it and she can feel it.
You're sitting on the
So,
yourself by your arms.
right. So, yes, if we don't let Felicia hold it together the way that she's used to holding it together, believe me, she's going to have tension. She's going to have heat. She's going to have shaking. All of the above. And so we need her to give. So what you do for somebody is that you don't demand more and more out of them unless you can give them more and more contact. So she's got her hands on blocks. She's got her foot in her back. She's got the strap around her. She's got a block under her knees. Right? So that right now, that's it. Are your knees up, Doug? Good. Nice. How's that feel, okay? I was a little hesitant to get up that thumb. Okay, good. It's good. Now, if you look at Doug, look at that. He's got a big curve in his back. So good. That's it. Nice. Heather, you're doing great. So good. Heather, get your feet around his feet so you can get his heels together a little bit better. Yeah. Whoa. Nice. Now, you want to hear something really interesting? I'm going to tell you guys a secret that I know about Felicia. I'm going to tell you a secret about Felicia, everybody. I'm going to reveal something about you. Certain scents, smells, make her feel nauseous. Like, we can't wait to come in here and put on the essential oils and make it all smell good in here. But when Felicia comes in, I can't do that. Isn't that interesting, Jessica? She doesn't like scent, and that is all about lungs. That is all about oversensitivity, right? She is so sensitive. And that's why when I read her face, I knew that it was not just about the earth element. That's her behavior. But her secret is that she is all metal. Heavy metals, right? And also, you can hear it in her voice, how her voice is very precise. She's very well spoken, right? And that is a metal element, right? She's very well educated. And she knows how to do the right thing. Beautiful. Let's come out of that. Right. Oh, so good. Beautiful. Doug, it is so much better now. He looks so much lighter. So good.
Wow.
Right? Isn't that nice? Beautiful. So good, Doug. Right? She doesn't like scents. Beautiful.
Are worse than others.
Yes, some scents are worse than others. Which ones do you really not like?
What ones do these brown hate the most? Sage burning. Anything that's burning. Yeah, anything that's burning. But I guess the essential oil that we use around here the most, whatever they put in the mats.
Lavender, eucalyptus.
And it could be the combination. I don't know. It could be the combination.
I think it's the combinations.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I think that. Because, or the tea tree. Yeah.
What notes are worse than this?
That's what I'm thinking of, Alex.
Yeah.
Right. So she doesn't like the high notes.
Right. Notes as in
Peppermint. Things that spirit you up. Right. So low notes are going to be frankincense. They're grounding. Sandalwood, the grounding ones. Right. The ones that are citrus. They don't last as long, but they're spirited. Right. The ones that, Jill, you're killing me.
Oh, God. Vetiver and patchouli.
Yeah.
I mean, that released my whole bunions in my foot, but the whole sides of my huge bunions just got completely open, been.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Together, when you put them together, his whole foot was trying, I literally felt like my bones were gonna break because he was trying to go this way.
Right.
Everything more like the wrist joint you were showing with Felicia. It sort of found its joint a little more, like the foot.
That's right. Just like yes, because when the habit is so deep in there, it's got a lot of muscle to hold it that way, and so it's really so tough to be able to change that habit. So good, Heather. You did beautifully.
Ellen K asked an interesting question.
Go ahead.
Is it only the sense where she's sensitive to, or is also other senses? Hearing, light, all that, or is it just smelling?
It's going to be smell. Right. It's going to be smells, because smells are all about the metal element, which are lungs. Right. Taste is going to be about her earthy things. Love food. Spicy, the better. Right. Yeah, because spice feeds her metal element. Right? Articulation is, to speak, and her emotions, all of that. That's going to be the heart. Oh, where am I here? Okay. Good?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so we could keep going with this. Right? Isn't it so interesting? Okay, anybody have any questions?
Hey, Abbie.
Yes.
For a minute about how you work with a broken collarbone through the wrist.
Same. It's very easy and common to break a collarbone, right? So you work in this joint, you work in the armpit, you hold the collarbone, you support the collarbone, right? The wrist is really supported by the hand. The collarbone, you have to have a real open lung in order to do that. So you use a lot of props for collarbones. So the collarbone is right between the head and the lung, which is the neck, right? And so this whole situation here should be propped up. And that's when you have structure that's injured, you prop it up, because that's how you manipulate structure. You can prop it, you can manipulate it. Another really good thing about a collarbone is, Alex. Yeah. So watch what we're gonna do with her armpit here. Good, and then you can put one under her hand. That's it. So we like to do this also, we like to do this with scoliosis, but this is great for the collarbone because it gives her a frame that she didn't have, right? So this is what we like to do when the frame is off. No, it's okay. No, she'll find you. Do the same thing. Do exactly what she's doing. Good. Now, voila. Now she's got collarbones. So if you look at Doug for a second, look at everybody at Doug. Doug, don't you move. No, don't you move. Don't you move. Spot like Doug. He needs the same thing, right? Look at that. Everything's falling forward. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting Heather to work with. Right, because otherwise.
Heather, you can even sit on the couch and put your knees under his armpits if you don't want to build him a floor.
Yeah, if you don't have as many blocks as we do, sit behind him and get his armpits.
What am I doing?
Just sit down on the couch.
Put your knees under his armpits.
And get your knees right under him.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. So good. That's it. Now take his shoulders and move him out.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. Now his head will be in a much better place. He'll have a much better neck. Now his lungs, if he stays there long enough, are beginning to will begin to fill, because you opened up the field of the lungs, and now they can fill up the container that you're giving him, because the container that he has is what's changing, not the lungs themselves. Lungs will take up however much room you give them, right? We say that all the time. That's it, right? Beautiful, and it feels nice, right? So good. Okay, give me back the group here. So good. Yeah. So nice. And so here we have it on, just to answer Ellen's question, she's got collarbones, she's got a better neck. So good. Got it, Ellen? And that way, you don't have to alarm anybody, right? You underpin it. How do you underpin something? Literally, go underneath it. And now it's beautiful. Yeah. And now the lung is going to fill up all the space we give it, because that's what organs do. Right. She said she's taken a few deep breaths since she started this position, because, just like kidneys, if you don't sit on them, well, they're going to be able to be filled with breath. The heart won't have a shallow little pump. If you give it a lot of space, it's going to be a more potent, powerful pump. So good. Nice. Beautiful, Doug. That looks amazing. So good. Right? Because after a while, there's going to be a problem in the kitchen.
Y'all have to watch TV like that now every time.
Good idea. So what's going to happen eventually, if you don't address it in the lung, it moves, and there's going to be a real problem in the kitchen. And the kitchen is the heart. And we don't want problems in the kitchen. Right? So nice. Probably. Probably. Go behind her and see which way she goes. Good. You can't, I mean, you can't listen to someone how they feel. You just, but to keep her where she is there. Whoop. Okay. So after a while, you have to just remember when you're working with people that they have to make connections, new connections that initially don't exist for them. Right? And so, you're working with somebody's neurology and you're shifting them so that at first it feels incredibly unfamiliar, right? And then you have to hold them there until the nervous system settles. But it's like, how do you help somebody go someplace where they don't know how to go themselves? You have to use scaffolding. You have to cajole the lung to do something it doesn't know how to do, which is to fill up with air, which is to move over, which is to expand. Right? That's got a higher neck, because where we're trying to go to is a bigger vision. Because that's where we want to go to. Right? And that's where everybody has to read a map instead of asking someone how they feel. In order to find the center so she can mediate her circumference. And what is your circumference? Your life circumstances. Because that's what it's all for. Find your center to be able to mediate your circumstances better. Because what are we all doing this for? For our own personal investment. And that'll help her adjust her vision. Right? So good. Okay. Let's take her out of this. Let's see if anybody has questions.
I have a question, Abbie. Would you work the same if someone has overleg wrist?
If someone has what?
Overleg wrist in his ankle.
Over what?
Overleg wrist.
Over leg?
Hey, we don't call it that, Carmen. It's like when you have a cyst, when you have a bulge, when something is sticking out, and the German word is like an overleg.
Oh, the translation in English was the same. I looked, therefore.
Oh, I got it. Thanks, Rebecca. So, yes, if there's a bulge, some people call it a Bible bump in the wrist, because what they used to do to remedy it, they take a Bible, some big, and they go like, whack. We don't do that. Yeah, really. So, but really what it is, you could see it on her. She kind of has one. Here, give me this. Yeah, you can sort of see it when she doesn't have the whole wrist available.
Can you tilt it?
Huh? Wow, it looks better already. Oh my gosh. So, she sort of has one right here on the inside, because the reason that she has it here is that she doesn't have the whole spread across her wrist. She ends up having this bump right in the middle. And once we give her the whole wrist, it reconciles, right? Now, some people have it here. This is where a Bible bump really is, right? It's usually right there. And it's really right in the joint. And when it's right in the joint, it really means that something popped out, because it doesn't have its full rotation. It doesn't have its full spread, right? It's like some of you have, one of you does, I can't remember who it is. Some people have this thing here where their sternum pops out a little bit, and that's because the shoulders don't have their full spread. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And someone who has a Bible bump will very often also have this, because it's the same thing. And the body follows a pattern. So you'll see it in lots of different ways.
So I had it very, very, very bad, like a huge one. It's called the ganglion from playing piano too. And David showed me the wrist work that we're ultimately doing in Katona Yoga, and it healed me. It's gone. It never flares up anymore.
The reverse namaste, taking your pelvis over your wrist. That's why I do that thing in Lotus, making it into a real tray has really opened up my wrists. You know which one I do, right? So yeah, all the things we do in the wrist will clean that up. It'll clean up a thing in the neck. It'll clean up the sternum, right? So that, you know, refining form will illuminate habits of all kinds. So you'll find these things everywhere. Once you start to look somewhere, right, you'll find these things in other places.
Yeah, I have one that comes and goes in my thumb. It's Leslie. I have one that comes and goes in my thumb.
Yeah.
Hello, where am I here? There's a bump right here.
Wait, where? Yes.
Right here, and it comes and goes. It's very interesting. Like if my neck and my arm aren't bothering me, it goes away. And when the rest of me is bothering me, the bump right here comes back.
Right, it's right, you know, always be sort of near a joint, right? Because where the joint isn't available, it's like, you know, that's why people get, what are those things that pop out? Those muscles, hernia. That's why people get hernias. When you're not grounded, people get a hernia either like in the groin or like in the diaphragm, right? That's why people get hernias, when you're not really grounded. Something pops out if something's not grounded, right? So people get herniated discs. The disc pops out when there's not enough, you know, in those spongy discs between the vertebrae and the neck, where people sometimes get herniation because there's not enough space.
So if my leg isn't really like rounded down through the leg, I can't expand it into directions and then this gets.
Yes, that's right. It gets all stuffy in there. Right. Yeah, shuts down. So either something pops out, or because, you know, the energy's got to go somewhere. Right? Shit's got to go somewhere. Okay. And that's why refining a body and learning good technique is not random. It is technical. Look at Doug. That's amazing. Okay. Thank you very much, Felicia. Okay, here comes Alex. Okay. Okay. All right, Alex, let's talk about your injury.
My injury?
Your injury. Alex doesn't get to have injuries.
What?
Alex doesn't get to have injuries. Okay.
My neck, my right neck. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I think I have to be near you. Okay.
My neck on the right is like my whole shoulder neck area just went out like 3 weeks ago after I was sitting for a really long time driving on a long cross country trip, which was just interesting because I've never really had a big lasting injury, and this one really is not going away. And I wasn't even really doing anything. I was just sitting in a car. But I can really turn my head to the left. My head, this is where it starts to hurt when I move to the right. And it's all of this muscle here. And it's gotten better, but it's still there.
Turn around.
Okay.
Because you can see it. And she put her hair up for us, which is so nice. I want your arms down though, because We can see it better. Okay. It's on her right. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You're not supposed to say that, by the way. Whenever I'm working with Danielle Rosati and we're seeing somebody on someone, she goes, ew. She can't help herself. Okay, so this one is really nice from here to here. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, is a big bump here. Right, so I know there's a big muscle here. Also, if I look at the side, her vision is too low. Right? And right before we get to the neck, you okay?
Yeah.
That feel good?
Oh, yeah.
Right, let's put a, get a ball. Does that feel okay?
Totally. Feels really good. All it feels it needs is space.
Yes.
Everything I do is like.
Right, everything she does, everything she does is gonna shut down. That's it. Let's give her more and more width. More and more width. She's gonna have to take up, right. Here, put your hands there. Yeah, here. Good. Oh, better already. Can you see a difference? Good. That's it. Nice. So now even more. Would you get me a mat?
A mat?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really also where her ever so slight, like her scoliosis has reared its ugly head, right? Because this is where it gets tough when, you know, by deep, deep, deep in the nature. Right, we're deep in the nature. Whoa, okay. So from here to here, good. So I'm just taking my feet and I'm giving her more, my feet are now her lungs, you okay? That's it. Now look what happens to her neck. Look what happens to her chin. This is really where she belongs. Right? Alex really has this regalness, right, that she doesn't fulfill. So nice. Because now, oh my God, that's so good. Beautiful. Isn't that so nice? So her real strength is how competent she is. Right? She really articulates so beautifully. Right? Her real strength is her heart. And that's also what gets compromised. Right? Yeah. And when she's really compromised, it's her feelings. Because she really knows how to fire it up. Oh my God, this is so good. Does this feel good? Oh my God, Alex, this is so nice. Oh, look at that vision. Oh, look at that neck. So good. Right now, she really, that's it. In a funny way, it's like, oh, this is when she's going to come into her own. This is really where she's going to go.
I feel like I'm going to fall on my face.
No, you're not going to fall on your face. Oh, okay. Emily, come on over here. Get a mat, and you're going to put your feet right in the front. And they're going to match my feet. So we are going to hold her structure. That's it. Right, now you got to use your hands. Oh, use your hands. So you're not just pushing with your feet. Atta girl. You okay? Yeah, good. Make it stable, Felicia. Oh, okay. Yeah, wait, thanks. Yeah. You okay? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just holding her in the middle so she can find where she should be. And now we get to see this muscle. Now that I've been holding her, the muscle's dancing. Point to it, Felicia. Right, now the muscle's like dancing around in there. Right. Thank you.
You're gonna be a soccer player.
Ah, that was good. So good. Oh, is that all right? Now press into your right hand. Yeah. And then turn towards my hand right here. I mean, no, don't turn toward your ear, sorry. Put your ear towards my hand. And then press into your left hand. That's it. Good. Right in that muscle. Right. Good, now go the other way. Press into your right hand and go the other way. Nice. Thanks, Emily. That's it. I really want to get my foot up there. That's it. Oh, I'm going to dig in there. Yes.
The best thing about your foot being there is that I can't be there now.
Yes. Right. Now, if she can't be there and do the thing she really wants to do, that's it. Right? Because if I'm there, she can't be there and she can't hold herself the way she knows how to do it. That's it. Good? Nice. Okay, come out of this. That was great. So good. Okay.
That makes us miss the adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and then she could start to take breaths, because if you can start to take breath, all of a sudden, it's not just your structure, it's how the lung and the kidney, her bones, are really working better together. Good?
Yeah, it's like my top totally came off the bottom.
Yes, and that's why there was a neck issue. You never fix a neck from a neck, right? You free up a neck, right? So if she were somebody else, I wouldn't do this to Alex because I can do other things to Alex. But if she were someone who didn't have the refinement of form that Alex has, get a black chair. You're going to sit on this chair, okay? I'm just going to show them where. If this were somebody, we'll try and do it so that she has, there we go. Okay, you need a chair with a back. Sit at a right angle. And then give me these gray ones would be nice to her. Okay, scoot back. Scoot your butt back. There we go. Okay. Okay. So one of you are going to stand here, okay? Because you have to be the boundary, because it only goes up here. Do you know what I mean? So you're a chair, like a shaker chair. Ah, nice. Okay. Give me another block so I can put it between her legs. A foam block. Oh, great. You holding it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice. Okay. So, you all right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to strap her in just so, yeah. Oh, it's right behind you. Good. So what I really want to do here is free up her neck. Feel it? Mm-hmm. Great. Good. Just put sandbags on her feet. Nice. That's it. Stay there. I need another foam block. Nice. So she can't do what she does. Whoa. See, I want to go all the way up here. And then Gilly's the boundary. Right. So all I'm doing is everything has contact, but I'm just like leaving the neck free. Right? Because you always want to leave the neck free because you don't want to, you know, the neck is just so delicate. It's not that delicate on Alex, but it's delicate.
Kind of a delicate neck.
No, you do. You do, but you've done your work. You know what I mean? It's like we can manipulate you. Right? So we really get to see. So good. Mm-hmm. Nice. You feel the block. Doesn't it feel good? Mm-hmm. Do you like my new glasses? I love them. Where are they from? Oh, the People's. So cool. Oh my gosh, so good. So now we get to see this cute little neck she has, right? So it's got this really beautiful now, this beautiful. I only do this because I really know her. You only hurt the ones you love. That's it. Right. Right. Then we can go in. Once it's freed up, then you go in and you can like knead it like dough. Right? Because that's a muscle. There's a muscle in there that is where she got caught. Right? And Alex is really strong and she really holds it with muscle. So she must have been sitting in one place for a very long time because then the muscle starts to just hold and that's why it doesn't want to let go. And she is one tenacious chickadee. So it's going to be in the physicality as well. It's in the nature. And then you really get to see, I don't know if you can see, but there's this wrinkle right there. You see that wrinkle? Right? She's got it on both sides, but it's much more pronounced on the right. Yep. Right? And here, everything's being pulled forward. That's what you see in the neck. And what we really want is this. Right. Right. Well, you push forward. Right. You keep her forward.
Tell me if you're okay.
No, she's liking it. No, this feels good. So good. Good. Now turn your head the other way. Turn it away from me. Right. Now keep doing this. Yeah. Good. Nice. Now turn the other way. Turn towards it. Grab her shoulder while she turns this way. Oh, so nice. Better? Yeah. Good. Right. She can feel this. Mm-hmm. Right? This is painful. Right? Yeah.
Right where your thumb is feeling exactly where it is.
Yeah, push. She can take it. Yeah. Don't let go. Right. Keep doing it. Don't let go. So at first, it might even be painful, but it's good. Yeah. Beautiful. Right? Good. Nice. Let her out of here. So good. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do what you did I want to do with you what you did to Felicia. Okay. So now I'm here. Oh, look, we froze. Yeah. We're frozen. Oh, no.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, we're back. Wow, that was scary. Okay. Okay, ready? You can do it. Yeah, you do your strap around her hips. Okay.
Which one? The forward fold?
No, the dog.
Oh.
Rebecca C asks, is Alex metal earth and it fire?
She's a lot fire. She's fire and metal. She's got a lot of fire, this one. And I you can really see in her face. Okay, you hold her, yeah, get it in there. You okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Nice. Right. Beautiful. You've been on your knees, Emily? Good. Oh, is that good? So good. Good. Now I start to feel a little shaking. That's it. Beautiful. Good. Come down. Set up a shoulder stand. Okay? Okay, so I'm gonna put Alex in a shoulder stand. If her neck were truly injured,
Yeah.
I might not, but I wanna do it, I wanna do a shoulder stand. So, no, not here, against the wall, over here.
Like if someone had like a herniated disc, you wouldn't do a shoulder stand.
Right.
But
Well,
like
if you did, I would.
Yeah.
If you did, I would. But if someone, yeah, but this is a pulled muscle. This is a much more common, thing.
And what if I were like coming to you and I was newer and you were gonna put me in a shoulder stand and I had a neck injury? And I was like, that's scary. I don't want to put weight on my head. Like,
Right.
Why and what in the setup of the pose makes it safe and good and therapeutic?
Anything that is really going to be, pull that just an inch. Anything that's going to be a right angle is going to give you stability. Also, we're going to put her on a chair, and so the weight isn't on her head. It's going to be on her hips. And when you turn it upside down, the other thing you can do is a square with somebody, because on the head is just hanging.
Right.
But I want to do something a little bit more demanding. Okay, so let's bring you over here, and they're going to manipulate the camera so you can see it. Okay. You okay?
Yeah. It's fun to do yoga with people again.
Yeah. I think, is this too close? Just a weens. Yeah. Okay. Okay, give me your hands. Right, you really know, this is really, part of this is your scoliosis. Walk your feet up. Even higher. That's it. Good?
Yeah.
So I'm really lifting her off her neck with my feet, but I'm making sure that I have a right angle. She is so strong here. Am I killing you?
Oh, in a good way.
That's it. Oh, so good. That's it. I'm going to slide my foot under so that she's really off herself.
That feels so good in the neck.
Yeah, this is,
really pure traction.
yeah, this is great for her neck. So nice. Oh, we're frozen again.
Okay. No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, we're good now? Okay. You okay, everybody? Oh, so good. Nice? Beautiful. Okay. So now, you all right? Good. You hold you. Good. Let's give me a thing so so she doesn't feel the metal. Hold on to the chair. Good. I'm going to put this against her back so that she doesn't feel the metal of the chair. Good. You're holding? Mm-hmm. Give me your feet. That's it. You want to lift her up and put her on the chair? So just get a little off of her neck a little bit more. Good?
It's good.
Is that better? Great. Now she's really not on her neck. Okay. You want to strap her and get her legs over. That's it. Good. And then strap her in, Emily. Just so we get so much more. You okay?
Mm-hmm. It's heaven.
So good. Yeah. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Good.
Mm-hmm. So nice. No, strap her here.
Spend a minute.
Yeah, really? Yeah, it'll make her feel held. That's it. Anytime you want to make people feel safe, you find the strap near the hips. Good. that good? Nice. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to leave Alex here for a few minutes. And let's bring the people back. You know how to do that? Use the pad. Does that feel okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, stay there. Okay, questions?
It's Ellen here, Ellen K. I was wondering, does the time span someone spends with the injury, does it have an effect on the length of time it needs to get better? You know, she had this for 3 weeks now, which I consider a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
And someone who was living with the same thing coming, you know, like being more or less chronic, for example, in the neck, living with it since for years, does it need longer to get better, or is the body able to adapt the right structure independent from the length of the disease or injury?
You know, here's the thing. You know, when something is, the difference between when something is chronic or acute is really what the question is, right, Ellen? Right. So when something is acute, in a funny way, it's much easier to work on because you'll see the change quickly because everything is on high alert and everything is vulnerable and available. So I like to work on things that just like, you know, happen. But when something is chronic, it's really sort of like it's become embedded. And so it takes longer because the information is deeper in and you've kind of cathected to like, oh, this is how I am. You know, and also emotionally, people are more, it's more embedded in the neurology. So it takes longer in a funny way because it's chronic. You know, it's just like an emotional issue. The younger it is that you've had the trauma, the more difficult it is to unravel the issue, right? The younger you are that you had the trauma or the emotional issue, the deeper in it is, the less conscious it is, the less agency you had over when that happened to you, right? And so it's the same thing with a chronic injury. When something is chronic and it wasn't dealt with, or it wasn't reconciled, or it was pushed down deeper, you have to go excavate more. And so there has to be more frequency and more repetition in order to address it, adjust it, manipulate it, change it. But you know, remember this, everybody, nothing ever stays the same. It either gets better or it gets worse. But it never stays the same. So it's not like you have something and it's sitting there, right? It will always either bother you more, bother you less, bother you differently. You know, it's up to you to be able to address it wherever it is.
Yeah. I was wondering if something's getting attention all the time, if there's a, you know, also this is...
What do you mean you mean it's always bothering you?
Yeah, well, and you are always trying to fix the same problem, but you don't get the grip on it, you know what I mean? And it's getting too much attention maybe. So I was wondering if that is possible or...
It's not getting too much attention. I think really it depends on the technique. It really depends how you're attending to it. Would you roll her out so that she's got lots of contact? It is not so much, it's not so much how you're, it's not so much the attention you're giving it, it's what you're doing. It's how you're attending to it. It's the techniques that you're using. Technique is everything, right? Because you can pay attention to something and keep manipulating it and bothering it and invading it, right? So it's really how you're evading and invading it and what kind of techniques you're using to address it, rather than addressing it too much or too little. You know what I mean? So it's not like, it's not, for example, in yoga, it's not how you're doing a pose. Sit behind her. So it's not like how you're doing a pose, is what you're doing in the pose, right? It's not can you do yoga, it's how you're doing yoga, what you're doing while you're in it. It's the quality of the experience, not the thing itself, because I don't know what you're doing to attend to it all the time. Oh, so nice, Alex. Now turn to your left and turn to your right and twist her. That's it. You might need to scoot up. And Alex, would you scoot back so she can have yeah. Now they're just twisting her. Yeah, here, you might guys want to see how we're going to, that's it. So now Felicia is twisting her, and we're keeping her hips stable with Emily's feet. And now she should be able to turn nicely. Good. Right, so she can turn to the left beautifully. Let's see what happens when she turns to the right. You okay? Okay. Oh, so much better. Let's give her a little shove. You okay? Yeah. Good. Yeah, now she's turning. See, all you have to do is break her neck. Okay. So fun. Okay. Okay, let's bring you guys back. Ellen K, did that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly. Thank you.
Good. Okay, these are, you guys as a group have asked such wonderful questions, such thoughtful questions. Anybody else have a question? Duda, you have a question?
Yes. In your point of view, if someone feel pain, do you the person stay in the pose, or do you change or make movement? I don't know if you understood my English, but.
What you're saying, if someone feels pain in a pose, do you stay in the pose or do you move them? Okay. So if you feel pain, no one gets points for pain. So if you're feeling pain, it is an alarm that's going off. It's ding, 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 I'm not safe, right? So you don't stay in a pose where you feel pain. The alarm should tell you something is wrong. Something is wrong with my technique. Something I'm doing, either I'm off center, or I'm too deep, or I'm not plugged in. Does that make sense? Something is off with my form.
Yeah, for many years, many teachers says to me, in Gomukhasana, I don't know if in Katana do you use another name, but in my leg, I feel so much pain in my hips. Yes, like Alex. And everyone say to me, stay there because your hips will be open.
Right.
Always feel so much pain, and I don't know what I make with my hips. My question is more about this.
Yes. Okay, so the first thing you do when you feel pain in Gomukhasana is probably, you want to show us your Gomukhasana? Yeah, don't show him yet. I don't want him to do it yet. I want to see what he does first. Okay, let's see his Gomukhasana. Oh, it's gonna be painful. Okay. They told you to stay in this, like, okay. Okay, I'm not gonna. Yeah, we can see. Looks painful to me. Okay.
Where is it?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, we know, believe me. Okay, watch what Alex is gonna do. She's got 2 blankets underneath her. And if you look, there we go. Nice. you have a couple of blankets, Duda? Let's bring him back. Yeah, get some blankets. Anytime, oh, I should say it so he can hear. I'll wait till he comes back. Hope he's coming back. We scare him away. Oh my God. Make it nice and thick. Okay. Anytime, Duda. That's not gonna be enough. Anytime, you need twice that height. Yeah, you got 2 blocks? You have 2, you only have 1? Duda. You're a yoga teacher? Are you kidding me? Okay, put it under your blanket.
What about a pillow cushion?
That's better already. Okay, Duda. Anytime now try and get your knees to come together. Yeah, anytime your knees are higher than your hips, the pose is wrong. Walk your hands forward. Good. Keep going. Good. Now, Duda, look at me. Look. Anytime, think that your throat will go over your knee. Think that your throat, it'll fit, right? That's it. Nice. That will help you ground your sacrum. Yeah. Oh, better already. Good. Yeah. It's intense, yes? But the more height you have in your hips, the less intense it's gonna be. You don't want it to be acute in your hips. You want it to be connected in your knees. Got it? Wait, I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I don't feel pain more. I feel just intensity, but I don't feel pain more when I power bend.
Yeah, much better. So if you have even more height in your hips, like another blanket, you'll have less and less pain because you don't want the acuteness to be in your hips. You want to be on a downhill slope, not an uphill slope. Okay, so you always have to, what people like Duda have to do is to change his angle because it's not that you're doing the pose wrong, the angle is wrong. Got it?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Nice. That was a great question. Okay. That was a beautiful question. Who else did everybody get that? Good. What other questions do you have?
Oh, Abbie?
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me? It's Carolyn.
I can hear you.
Oh, I have a pain in my calf muscle. And I think it's related to my knee. And it happened when we did knee up the wall this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Worse?
Okay, so let's see what you did. You have to show us what you're doing. Because my guess is that maybe her knee was in the wrong place and it was her hip, actually. That would be, yeah, show us exactly what you did.
Can you see? Oh, so it's this knee but I had padding on it.
What? Yeah. Okay, is this how you were?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Ouchies. Okay. Yeah, you're really on your knee. You should be in your hips, not in your knee. You're not even in your hips. Do the pose, Gilly, and okay, come out of here, Carolyn. And I'm going to show you what the pose should look like. Right, see how she's in her hips and not really on her knee? If she presses her foot into the wall, she should be off her knee and in her hips. Right, you were here. Show her where she was. You were here. So right on the knee, right? But where you really want to be, here, put this right in your, this is what you can do. And that will take you out of the knee and into your hip. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yes.
But why would I have a pain in the calf muscle?
Because you weren't in your hip. You're using your, yes, say it again?
You were using your back leg to do the whole series instead of being in your hips.
Right. You're putting pressure in the wrong part of your leg and you weren't in your hips. And the knee on the floor and the foot in the wall sequence is really about getting all the way around this hip joint. And that's why it's so profound. But you didn't get into the hip. So you stayed in the knee. Right, so it's all engaging in the back leg instead of opening up the front of the back leg. You are in the back, you want to be in the front of the back leg, right? Because if you look at where Gilly is and she brings herself up, it's all about the thigh.
Oh.
Beautiful, right. That's the back bend, thigh to back leg, right there. And once she's there with the pressure on the block even more, she's not on her knees, she's really in her hips. Beautiful, Gilly. Nice. Good. Good, Carolyn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because you have the range, Carolyn, to do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Hooray. You did that so beautifully today. Your mother should be so proud. Okay. Other questions? Other little pain or injuries?
I have. Sorry? Going? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then hi, Abbie, Danny here. I have a question because I was thinking today when we were talking about the lungs and how they don't have enough space. And I was thinking about myself like the last 2 months. I was working as a waitress, haven't done this in years. And I had this year foot injury. And I had like pain in the ankle, pain in the knee, pain in my hip. And like I had to wear the mask for 8 hours while I was working. And I had a feeling like I was collapsing even more and more. And at the moment, like my whole body hurts. I stopped 2 weeks ago to work and everything is tied up in the neck. And I was no, I'm not wondering, but it's like, it's just building up like from the feet onto the knees, onto the hips, until the lung collapse. And then the neck shows the pressure, like because I was not paying attention.
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with you not paying attention. I mean, that sounds horrible. But you know, heat rises, and so it goes all the way up to the neck because your pain is heat, and it just keeps going. So you got to calm it all down. So how does she calm down her nervous system? Who has an idea of what to do? What? Frog pose. Right, you need to calm down. You need to calm it all down. Even do pigeons and lotus variations and frogs, right? Supported block poses. You have blocks?
Yeah. There it is. Big ones.
You have a bunch of them?
Yeah.
Great. I would do it first. I would do what we did with Felicia. I would put myself in Virasana and then back on a bunch of blocks. And just let the blocks support the back of your lung so it moves front. And it'll take the pressure off your kidneys. It'll push the lungs to the front. And it'll also put you on a grid. right? Use it to get oriented so that you're not chasing sensations around.
Yeah, that's true, because it was already showing on my face. Like, I started also to learn face reading, and with the kidneys, when the eyes get wide here, like that's what it's called, like it's your kidneys, and I'm like, wow, like I'm of like my body is alarmed, and even my kidneys, like all the part, everything hurts.
Right. So I would start with a practice that's really grounding. I would do pigeons, and then to what we a lotus variation. I would do Gomakasana. So this is a lotus variation, right? But do it up on blankets.
Yeah.
Right? Bring your hips nice and high. Yeah. And then do Gomakasana. You know Gomakasana. Right. And the more, right. And after you do this one, then you want to add a twist. Either that one or, yeah, you could add that one. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I did today. A lot of twists. That's when I felt better.
Yes, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do a plow.
Oh yeah, it helps a lot too.
So, scoot forward, and someone put your feet in her back. Yeah. Sit. No, she's gonna. Yeah, you're gonna sit, and she's gonna bring you her feet, and you're gonna put your feet in her shoulders, and then pull her apart a little bit. Yeah. Good? Nice. Yeah. And then you do a plow. And make sure when you do a plow, you have a lot of support, right? Either a block under your upper back so that your hips aren't just hanging.
Abbie, what are you doing if somebody has big boobs and, big thighs, so there is not a lot of space if you fold them together? Know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Then you put, instead of having gilly hair, you put blocks here, and you put your feet on blocks. Yes, and or see how she put the block down? She's got the block. Use another block because I think it's hard for them to see. Yeah. You can do this where you don't go so far over. Right, and then you're, yeah. Now, eventually, it's not that your boobs are too big. It's that your shoulders are too dense. So when shoulders are super dense, you can't bring your legs up all the way over. Right? Eventually, it's not that the boobs are big. It's really, it is all about this being too dense, that they don't have a good surface. Yeah. Good question. Ellen.
Sorry, I also wrote it down in the chat. If I remember correctly from the workshop I had with you here in Cologne, you were talking about the size of the nostrils and the difference between them, that it was telling you something about the functioning of the lungs, but I didn't remember correctly how to attend to this or what can I do with this information. So maybe you could talk briefly about that.
It could mean several things. The thing about the nostrils, if the nostrils are big, it's like the nose is hunting for air, right? Because it's a little drafty to have big nostrils. So the boundary of, I forgot what it's called. What's it called, that thing here? It's called, I forgot what it's called. It's called something. No, this thing that gives you the boundary around the nostrils. Some people have really good boundaries around there, and some people don't. And your boundaries aren't great around there. I'm looking at look at Linda. So spotlight Linda. Linda has good boundaries around her nostrils. You got her? Yeah. See how she has really lovely little nostrils? And she's got really round little boundaries around them, the little round little shape around her nostrils. No, the septum is up there in the nose. It's called something, and yeah, thank you, Sarah Kay. Yeah, and then let's come back to Ellen and spotlight Ellen Kay. Come on up there with your nose. So let's find Ellen. Whoop, I'm sorry, do it again. Oh, sorry. I go back up here? Ah, there you go. Yes, she doesn't have a good boundary on her, especially on her left, right? And also they're uneven, so the air doesn't know what to do, right? Because when it's uneven, it's not in, out, right? It's sort of like, whoops, where am I? Right? Yeah. Yeah. Right, and then the nose is pointing to the left, right? Yeah, yes, or to the right, sorry, I'm backwards. Right, so, yeah, wherever the nose is pointing, also, you know, you're channeling the air where it has to go. And the nostrils are so important because they're the first line of defense. Oh, Carmen had a question, and then we'll get that question. Do I press this? Okay.
Yes, what I want to know is where do you work if someone gets a frozen shoulder and can't move with his arm?
Whose question is this?
Carmen.
We have two Carmens. Oh, okay.
Carmen F.
Okay. What's the question?
If someone gets a frozen shoulder and is not able to lift his arm to bring it back because it stops and it hurts a lot.
Right, because it's what? Rebecca, what's that word? Oh, because it stops.
I didn't pay attention. My daughter is doing laundry. I'm sorry.
She said just because it stops.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, that's what I mean.
Got it. Okay.
A frozen shoulder.
Yeah, frozen shoulder. Okay. So first of all, you know, I hate that word frozen because truly there's no such thing as a frozen shoulder. It's like in a freezer. It's not frozen, right? It's just not rotating well, right? It's not a disease. It's really like, you know, it's really technique that has to be addressed. Who is that up there? Jill Payne, you're killing me up there. Okay, so we're gonna correct that in a minute, right? You got a pothole. That's not a bridge, it's a pothole. Get yourself higher. And the block under your back, it should not be flat. Okay, so Carmen. Hello. Yeah, no. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It goes back to like the doctors, not about well-being and all of that. It's a
Yeah.
diagnosis.
Right.
It's very common.
It's a very common, yeah, this is a common issue. And unfortunately, people treat it like a diagnosis. That's what Alex is saying. And it is not a diagnosis. It's that the technique is messy. Because if you can't move something and you need to free it up, better, Jill. Thank you. Right? Because usually what happens when we have a frozen shoulder is that it's here. This is what it looks like to have a frozen shoulder. Right, that's a frozen shoulder, right? And so usually, just like everything else, you don't have to torture someone's shoulder because it's gonna hurt. So, you know, you wanna be able to first, let's move the thing so they can see. The first thing we're gonna see with a frozen shoulder is that chances are this is off, this is off, and if the shoulder's in the right place, it will rise. And then what you want to do is that you want to be able to rotate the armpit. Now, if you can't move it, then you do what we did with Felicia. You put blocks under here and blocks under here so that they don't have to move it. We support it. So find its underpinning and support the armpit, which the shoulder can be resting on. And eventually, when it's not doing what it's doing habitually, it will let go. Because it's not really frozen, it's just being mismanaged. Right? Because chances are it's here and the shoulder's displaced. Right. Right. Chances are manipulate everything else and the shoulder will move. Put her in, put them in a plow. Put them here with blocks. Put this under them. Do everything to manipulate the underpinning of something. Because what do you have to do when you want to play with a new idea? You want to have understanding, right? So just like you would as an idea, you have to physically underpin something so it lets go and it doesn't have to hold on the way it thinks it does.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
It can always be manipulated, and that is part of structure. Yeah, also acupuncture helps because acupuncture opens up channels. Right, but I like manipulating it so that, I like manipulating it so that it starts to have its own insight. Yes. Andrea S. Oh, Andrea, what? Ask your question.
Yes, with a frozen shoulder, I have a student, and she suffers from a frozen shoulder. I don't like this expression as well because, as you said, nothing is frozen there because otherwise it would be dead tissue. But what would an adjustment look like in down dog or in dolphin? What would you do with a person who can't rotate the arm very well in the shoulder?
Well, probably the way they're using it to as a weight-bearing pose is probably you're going to see the shoulder. You're going to see the shoulder wrong. So what I would do is put them over a chair. Mm-hmm. Get a chair. Is do a supported dog pose, mm-hmm. a restored dog pose, so they're not holding themselves up using the shoulder wrong. Right. So instead, if she had a frozen shoulder, I would do it this way. Mm-hmm. So now the arm is resting on the chair.
Mm-hmm. So what if you don't have a chair? I'm just asking because the studios here I teach, they don't have chairs in general. That would be a specific studio. So.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have a wall?
Of course we have walls.
So watch this. Let's go over to a wall. So let's go over to a wall. You want to do it, or do you want to adjust it, or be the person?
Whatever you want.
No, whatever you want.
I can adjust it.
Okay. Okay. You should probably use Felicia because Emily doesn't have that issue. You're on your elbows and you're doing a dog pose.
So you do 3 blocks if you have. You can also do it on the floor. Blocks just make it easier.
What?
Just stand next to her for volume.
Oh, right. Sorry. Okay.
So you do 3 blocks like this. Can you see the blocks? Like that. Mm-hmm. Felicia's hands are framing the blocks. Make sure your elbows in a right angle.
So she really makes the measure of elbow to elbow and wrist to wrist. Then she gets her knees all the way in. So her legs are in. So now Felicia has a boundary.
Okay. So then there's still an angle here, which tells us she's still sitting in these shoulders. So Gilly can pull her hips, but if you're just you too, you can also push her forward while spinning the arm. to move her out of this angle. So I know that she's not sitting in her shoulders and her lungs then move to the front.
You can also put your feet up here. She can also put her feet there, which feels really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good? So she's not sure, her feet are not in the shoulders, so she's not pushing on where it's going to hurt.
Right.
She's got her feet in her back, behind her lungs. You can also put your feet up there, and then it'll really free it up. Doesn't that feel nice? And that way, because she's on her elbows, she's not using her shoulder to hold herself. She's just giving Alex her hip, and her shoulder. Nice. Beautiful.
Cool.
So good. Okay. How's that, Andrea?
That was wonderful. Thank you. Yes. I thought of, I of course I know this adjustment, but I didn't connect it to a frozen shoulder or, yeah. I didn't think of that. So thank you. Yes, that's awesome.
What we really use this adjustment for is to take the angle, out so that lungs can't sit in the back. So when you take the angle out, the lungs can move to the front. Right? And that's really what that adjustment is for.
Cool.
Right?
Thank you.
Robin has a question? Where's Robin? Okay, ask your question.
Hi. It's just a simple question, but it's kind of unbearable for me, which feels ridiculous. When I'm doing like restorative Katona and have 2 blocks on the highest height underneath my sacrum, I can't settle down there. And I'm just trying to understand, it's crazy how agitating it is for me. And I want to go lower, but then it doesn't feel like it's doing anything for me. I just want to understand that better.
Have you tried it with your feet on a chair?
Well, yeah, when I was in the studio, I've had 3 underneath me with my, legs on a chair, but, it was difficult for me to get myself up into it. I needed someone to kind of lift my hips. Yeah, and I know that had something to do with like the tilt of my pelvis, that it just, I don't know, but and I do have like a kind of chronic lower back, just like pain, from just doing things the way I do things. I understand that now.
The way that the lower back can be very, very moving, right? What makes it really fluent and beautiful is also the way that it's, in a funny way, your back is over available there, right? And so when you rise it up, what we're actually doing to you is demanding so much out of that curve. So your curve is like this.
Yeah.
Your curve is like this, and we want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So go from here to here is demanding for you. So I would get more and more support with your feet and with your upper back. And take off the way that you take out some of the pressure of the lower back is to put a block in the upper back.
Okay.
See where if you look at Jill, let's spotlight Jill for a minute. And we'll talk about how wrong this pose is. Okay, so first of all, is she on the second thing, or is it her block is too flat in her upper back? If it were on 1 block higher, she would take the pressure off the lower back. Higher up, because we want her on the top of her head, because the curve in the neck and the curve in the back, that's it.
And I think the knees are the highest point, and her pubis has to come up a tad bit higher.
So walk your feet forward. More. That's it. Is that better, Rebecca? That's it. Right, so now some of the pressure is taken off of the lower back by virtue of the block in her upper back and in her neck. Because now the angle is so much better. She should really be just at the top of her head because you want that chin to be at just the right angle. Right, so, yeah.
Sandbags on her feet.
Yeah, sandbags on her feet or someone standing on her feet would be really nice. Wait till your daughter's a little older, maybe she'll help you. So good. Robin, you got it?
Yes, thank you.
Right, because if the angle is too acute, it's going to be too unsettling. So you have to have another angle somewhere else to take the pressure off that one so you don't have one that's so acute and the rest straight.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
Out of range from what I see in your practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right, so wherever you're good is where you're going to be taxed. Right?
Yeah.
Because you can go so easily. So nice. Okay, any other questions?
I mean, that kind of answered my question. I had the same thing. I have my low back's really available, but my upper back isn't, so I tend to get too acute in my low back and back bends. And that pose too, when I'm coming down, my sacrum's like.
Yes, remember, as above, so below. There shouldn't be one thing that's acute and the rest of it will get a little stiff, right? Because after a while, it won't serve you. So just know, in all of these poses, there's always a counterbalance, right? Because what you're looking for is a wave, and a wave repeats. And if you don't have a wave repeating, you don't really have a wave, right? You have something too acute and you have the rest too obtuse. And so a wave by nature is a repetition of form. And you want to have a repetition of form so that currency can start moving. And the reason you stay in poses a long time that are restorative is it takes a long time for currency to start to move. And so you want to put yourself in a repeated form, a repeated wave, so that you can move currency through. And currency doesn't move through hills, it moves through waves, right? Beautiful. That's how, that's also how time moves. That's why in the face, you've got hills and you've got valleys, and you've got a hill and you've got a valley, and you get a hill and you got a valley. You got a hill and you got a valley, right? You're designed that way in every way. We are designed with waves. No more questions? Are we done?
I have a question.
Oh,
hi,
yes.
Sarah Kay. Hey, so a lot of things that we were kind of showing and addressing today. Someone, Alex came in. She had a neck injury, and we kind of put her in a position that's still. But so for something like I have a little bit of a knee issue, but I run a lot, but it doesn't hurt unless it only hurts when I'm running for like over an hour or something, and then it really kind of lingers on, but then it goes away. But I can be in a pose, I can, like I'm in pigeon, it doesn't bother me then. So I guess like the difference between like how do you address something that really comes and is triggered with a lot of movement or transition, as opposed to just like, oh, this just aches.
By movement.
Okay.
And not triggered by making a transition. Things are triggered when the technique is messy. When something's not lining up, or you're not using your whole foot. Do you know what I mean? Wherever the technique is off, you're gonna be alarmed with some pain, right? It has nothing to do with moving or not moving. If the technique is wrong, no matter how long you're doing it, it's not sustainable. If something's not sustainable, check your technique, right? Something's off with the way that you're stepping or moving, using your foot, or that your feet aren't really under your hips. And then after a while, you're so strong and you have such good technique that you can sustain it, but it's not sustained for long enough. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of room for error when you've really done your work. You can eat fast food if you always really eat well. There's a lot of room for error, right? You can poison yourself when basically you're healthy, right? But after a while, if you keep eating poison, it's not so good. Right? So that's why after a while, it's not sustainable. Because if you're not running up, if you don't have good bounce and you're running down, eventually, if you're not running like a gazelle, don't run. Right? Because basically, if you don't have good bounce, after a while, it's going to be your knee or it's going to be your hip. And for the running, it's usually the knees because they're the least stable joints of the leg, right? Because the ankle has the foot as a surface, but the knee has nothing. And the hip joint is a big joint, but the knee is just not that stable to begin with. So wherever something is unsustainable, when you run, it's going to be the knee. Right? So, you know, we'd like to watch you run, but that's how we would see. Okay, someone else had a question. Who else had a question?
Abbie, I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday you spoke a few times about the sacrum being the circuit breaker board. Could you say a bit more about that, how that works?
Oh, the circuit breaker panel. Right, so the circuit breaker panel is your sacrum, right? It's this like triangle back here. It's really where there's a lot of nerves that move through there. And, you know, mostly when people feel pain, it ends up right in there because most people are not plugged in. They're sitting in their lower back or they're sitting on their tail. And then there's a whole lot of pressure back there instead of being underneath yourself. So instead, Alex is going to show you. Right, so most people sit this way. Right, most people sit this way. And instead, if she were plugged in, her pubis is forward. And if you don't have a curve in your lower back, you're not on your perineum. Right? And if she was sitting on the floor with her legs straight, most people are here. Yeah, most people are here. And instead, she has to bend her knees and come forward. Right? The minute she straightens her legs, look where she goes. Right? Most people are sitting that way. Most people sit in chairs that way. Most people sit in cars that way. Right? Airline seats. Everything is deep in for comfort. Couches. But really, to plug in your perineum is to be on a plumb line, is to be on the perineum, where you have a certain amount of alertness. Because the minute you're sitting in your kidneys well, the adrenaline calms down.
That totally makes sense. And is there something about how the sacrum communicates and connects to the whole rest of the body? Like when you say circuit breaker board, that to me says it's like the collection center for information from everywhere else in the body.
Yes, well, that's usually where people will feel it. When you've got lungs that sit in the back, what happens is you end up in the same place. And that's why when people's lungs don't function well and the lungs are up on the second floor of a house, you go down to the basement, go down to the sacrum and check what's going on. And you will always find that it's misaligned. When the head is too far down and the vision is in the cervical, you'll find it down there too. Go down to the sacrum because the minute we kick her in the ass, it's going to come up. Right? So in the same way, you always go down there because again, you're checking the foundation. You're checking the function of all of your systems. And it's always going to be down there.
It's the motherboard.
Yeah. And if you also, exactly, also, so many people's issues are in their lower body. Because first of all, it's the foundation of your house. It's early training. It's your primal issues of sex and money and food and water. It's all your primitive aspects. So most issues are down there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Abbie, but if most issues are down there, and we just learned that you wouldn't, if there is a problem anywhere, you go down to the hips. But if down in the hips there is the problem already, you want to go anywhere else and work from there. How do you do that then?
The hips are a real issue. Do the square. Right? Here's another way to hold the hips, but make sure you have a right angle in the hips. So over here. Who wants to do a square? Who wants to hold? So then you can do it this way. Our cameraman's just getting his act together here so he can show you. Right, so you can do it this way. So now her butt's just in the air, she's in her hips, but they're at a much more therapeutic angle. So Alex is just holding her. She's really not doing much. Put your feet in the wall. Heels. That's a better angle. Now she's got a right angle. Good. Now come down, Gilly, and do it on your elbows, because this is a much easier way for some people to do it. Her elbows are down, so she's got a nice triangle supporting her lungs. Then Alex can put her feet in her lower body. That's it. Nice. Oh, and she can even lift her. So good. That's it. Beautiful. Nice. That's it. And that's also a really nice way to adjust her sacrum and support her hips. Beautiful. And this is great for your neck, by the way, because now she can just really hang the neck, which is so nice, because Alex's feet are on the other end of her neck, because now as above, so below. The neck is happy and the lower back is being supported and her hips are supported. So that's one thing you can do. Also, the other thing for hips is put them in a plow. Plow, 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 plow. Because then her hips are in the air. There's no pressure on them. The lower back is being opened completely. Make sense, Carmen? Good. Good. Andrea, is there anything you want to add to this about the hips?
Squaring up the wall is quite difficult when you're alone. But
it's really tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But actually, I have. Do you have the ropes in the studio? I don't think you have ropes in the studio, right? I have a yoga trapeze, and hanging actually in some kind of Baddha Konasana is the best for my hip, because there's absolutely no load in the hip joint, and I can create space. And it's
also over the chair is really nice.
Yeah, over the chair, like a hang, a forward fold, or a down dog over a chair, and the hip is pretty neutral, like 3 and 9 o'clock. So there is no imbalance in there. So these are the things I do for my hips. Yes, and of course mobility stuff with the circling around the leg or something.
I just want to tell everybody that Andrea has the worst hips that you've ever seen, and she has one of the most beautiful practices that you've seen. And if you want to look at her Instagram, you're going to die. She's like a big spider. She has got the most beautiful poses, and she has the funkiest hips. She truly has done so much work on herself. You have to see this Instagram.
Thank you for those lovely words. Oh my gosh,
but it's so beautiful. She has gone way beyond her frame of reference.
Yep.
So good.
What's the Instagram?
It's Yoga Mand. It's Yoga Mand.
Say it again?
Yoga MAND.
You want to put it in the chat?
I can put it in the chat. Yes, of course. Here. Oh, this is my Instagram. So. And this is, I have an hip issue. I slipped in the bathroom. I crushed my left hip. It's traumatized. And over the last 8 years, I learned to move, actually, to keep myself mobile, to keep myself in this frame of reference, in a neutral position, out of my mind, so to say. And and helped a lot to stay mobile, to sit, to actually do a forward fold. I can't do Gomukhasana. I can't do the fire lock pose because this is just not in my range, but I can do other stuff, so that's nice. And I can do side lunges again. I couldn't do side lunges, and now I can do that again, like goddess pose-ish. But I'm getting there.
Wonderful. So good. Okay. How about one last question?
Abbie?
Yeah.
It's Leslie. I have like a Yoga Katona 101 question. So I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to ask it, but you know, in every other yoga class they say, sit on your sits bones. And I'm now trying to figure out where exactly is the right place on my perineum. You know, how do you know the side? I figure you can see the curve in your back. I'm having my husband take pictures of me from the side. Mm-hmm. But how do you know you're really plugged into your perineum? You know, and is it that you see that curve? And how do you know? How do you know?
There's one way that you know. Another way that you know is that if you're on a surface, so the butt bones are really not a surface. That's a line, and you're not sitting on a line. You're sitting on a triangle. So just as in a plow, you should be on your blade on the back of your head when you're sitting, because that's a surface to be on. When you're sitting, it's the buttock bone, and the pubis, because that takes you forward. Then you'll find your perineum. Another way to find the perineum is to sit in a forward bend with your knees way, way up. Is a really nice way to find your perineum. She's going to sit with her knees way up and her hands on her feet. Sit with your knees way, way up to your armpits. Good. Now she's going to move her butt back, and she'll know when she finds her perineum. You want it? Yeah. Good. You'll know. You just know. That's my sweet spot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Abbie?
Yeah.
I have a question. When you were talking yesterday about working with people with post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's a physical thing, but let's say somebody like witnessed something.
Yeah.
They're very,
yeah.
It's the same, like make them safe, orient them, and things like that. Is that?
Yes, because safety means the same thing in the body. Because once you're safe in the body, the nervous system will calm down. The heart rate will slow down. Once you really feel safe sensationally in the body, you're in the present, you're being held, the feelings will slow down too. The feelings will change.
Will the images change? Would they go away?
Over time, the images will be less acute. Yes, because you might always be an easy trigger, but they will be less acute. And then after a while, you'll be able to change your story. You'll be able to change the images. You'll be able to use your imagination in a way that soothes yourself. At first, you'll have to get soothing from the outside, but it is the very same thing, whether it's PTSD from something physical or emotional. And that's where the mind, the body, and the breath are really a trinity of chemistry. so that the breath really is the mediation point between the mind and the body.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That was a great question. Heather always helps me teach. Always. Every single thing we do together. So good. Well, guys, this was so fun. Such a pleasure. I want to thank all my demonstrators and assistants. Thank you, Jonah, our cameraman and host. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Felicia, for making yourself so available. Thank you, everybody, for coming and participating.
That was amazing.
So good. This was so much fun, as always. Next week, by the way, I just want to plug us. Alex and I are going to be teaching a 10-hour seasonal practices. So we're going to be teaching a fall practice and a winter practice and a summer practice and a spring practice. It's not just doing the practice. It's, talking about how to do those. But we're going to be doing those for the next 2 weekends. So I hope you'll join us, because all we did was sit on our ass this weekend. But it was really good. So see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.